Hi everyone, and welcome to the Knit California podcast. My name is Leslie. I am Knit California here on YouTube and also on Instagram, and this is episode 29. We are back doing a regular podcast episode today, and I actually don't have a whole lot of knitting to show you, so we are going to go through my current works in process. I have two. I got one yarn acquisition that I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to talk you through, since we're now into February, what January looked like both for my yarn stash, because that's one of my goals this year, is to end up net negative with my yarn stash. So I'm going to give you an update there. And one of my other goals for this year was to start wearing my knits more, and I've been keeping track of that. So I'm going to give you an update on what I wore in January. You can probably tell I got a ring light, and so I am like very hyper aware of how you can see it in my glasses. So if it's annoying at all, leave me a comment and let me know. I considered doing the podcast without my glasses, which I always wear my glasses. I am nearsighted, so like I can see everything around me like totally fine. I just can't see far away. I'm just like not super comfortable anymore without my glasses, but I'm like considering doing the podcast without them because it kind of annoys me. Also, can you tell how dirty they are? I don't know. But for today, I'm going to keep them on, so just let me know if you have any thoughts about that. I did want to start with what I'm wearing. If you watched last week's episode, I talked about this. This is my sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this is knit in Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Dusty Aqua. And I went back in and I finished the right sleeve because it had one less cable repeat compared to the left sleeve. And I said in the last episode that I was going to block this over the week and then wear it on the next podcast. And I have to admit that I did not block it this week, but I am wearing it on today's podcast. And I did wear this to work earlier this week, and it was great. I had no issues with like either of the sleeves because now they're the same length, so I'm really happy about that. I think you can, I think it's pretty obvious where the new stitches are. I think even if you look at like the pearls, like here, blocked, block, block, and then, you know, not blocked. So this will get blocked eventually, but, you know, I said I was going to wear it, and I'm going to wear it, and I love it. So the other sweater that I wore to work this week, I picked up the Dear Duomo, and I was like, I'm just going to wear this. I have thoughts. The first one is that when I put it back on, I was actually like pretty happy with the like body sizing and shaping. I think I talked about it in the drop shoulder comparison video, saying that I wasn't too happy with the 6 inches of positive ease and I wish it was more positive ease. I like did a little French tuck with it, and I thought it was actually like perfect. I really liked it. What does need to be fixed on the Dear Duomo, again, are the sleeves. I took a little video, but the sleeves are way too short. They're like a couple inches short on both arms, so I definitely need to go back in there. I would like to add more length to the stockinette section, and then also add more length to the ribbing. I'm kind of thinking that if I make the ribbing a couple inches longer, if I have enough yarn, then I might be able to like fold up the cuffs and make them like super long when they're regular length, and then like fold them back if I need to. And I think I would kind of like that on that sweater. So someday, hopefully this month, I will get around to fixing those. This sleeve on the sweater number 15 only took like a day, like an evening of knitting to fix. and I was like really worried that it would take a long time, but it actually wasn't that much knitting. And to be fair, like redoing the sleeves, while I'll probably just like frog the ribbing, so I'm not gonna try and like take it off and then Kitchener stitch it back together. That was fun, but I don't think I need to try that again. If you missed that, that was in my Oslo sweater video, so you can go back and watch that. But I think I'll just rip the ribbing out and then re-knit it. So it will take a little bit longer, maybe a couple of days of knitting, but it'll make the sweater, I think, like much better. So that's where we are with my finished objects that have already been finished that you've already seen. So let's move on and let me show you my main sweater project that I have been working on. You saw this last week, and here it is. This is my Lento sweater. The pattern is by Jonna, I'm gonna butcher it, Jonna Hietala. It was originally written for Liane magazine, and the yarn that I'm using is Explorer Knits and Fibers. The colorway is To the Stars Who Listen from A Court of Thorns and Roses, based off that ACOTAR series. This is in her Denali sock base and her Surrey alpaca base, and I'm holding them together. You can see that like they are two very different colorways separately. Like it's the same color, but it dyes up very differently on these two different yarn bases. And so let me hold these all up together so you can see how it looks in the yarn and how it looks in the sweater. And I'm really loving this sweater. I think, so the recommended needle size to knit this on, I believe, is 6mm needles. Let me check. I went up to a 6.5. Yeah, she recommends 6mm needles, and I went up to 6.5 because I'm a tighter knitter. But I think with that large of a needle size and this large of a gauge, the recommended gauge is 15 stitches per inch. And like holding a fingering weight plus a Surrey, which is a lace weight, that's about a DK weight. Like this is a huge gauge. And I think because the gauge is so large, that's how you're able to see both of these yarn colors. I think if the gauge was tighter, so more stitches per inch, maybe like a, you know, regular DK gauge would be 21, 22 stitches per inch. I think the Surrey would really outshine the sock yarn, and you would see mostly the lighter color. So just some fun yarn things to think about. But I attempted to start keeping track of my daily progress, but I think from the last podcast I was here, right? I think I only had my little D20 D&D stitch marker on. And so we've made pretty much the whole body progress since last week, which this knits up incredibly fast, so that makes sense. And now it is time for me to start the ribbing. I'm trying to decide if I want to do 1 extra inch or if I just want to start the ribbing now. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I will make that decision probably right after I film this podcast because I'm gonna start knitting sometime later today, and I'll have to figure that out. And then the other decision that I'm trying to make is whether or not I want to do a split hem on this for the ribbing, or if I just want to knit the ribbing in the same size needle that I'm knitting the body in. I realize that I kind of prefer when my sweaters don't like cinch in at the waist, so I'm gonna like test that out on this because it's the sweater I'm currently knitting on. So I'm leaning more towards right now just knitting using the same needle size. So the 6.5 millimeter needles, and just knitting it in the round. So we'll see. And then I'm going to start on the sleeves, and my goal honestly is to finish both of these sleeves next week. So I don't know if it'll be done by next week's podcast, but at least the one after that I should be wearing this. When I did the folded neckband, I did twist it somehow, just totally messed that up, but I don't think any like normal person would be able to see that. So I notice it because I did it. But I don't think any normal person would notice that. So, but yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. I haven't made, let me just double check my little notebook here. I haven't made any other like changes to this. No. To the pattern. So we're just going ahead. I haven't looked ahead to see what the sleeve knitting is like and like the sleeve decreases are like. So I'm, may make modifications there, but I don't know. You'll have to find out next week. But this is going really well, and I'm really, really happy with it. So that is my Lento. And I did get some comments after I posted this on Instagram. I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but there are a couple knit-alongs going on in the YouTube community and on Instagram that this sweater kind of falls into. So first, Rebecca from the Crayabea is hosting a Lento knit-along, and if you're on Instagram, you can use the hashtag Let's Lento to participate in that. And then Casey from the Young Folk Knits podcast is hosting her bougie sweatshirt knit-along, and this is definitely like a bougie sweatshirt. And so if you're knitting something similar, you can participate in that. I think the hashtag is bougie sweatshirt cal. So join along there. And then also, lastly, the Grocery Girls are currently hosting a raglan knit-along. I'm pretty sure that's on Instagram and on their Ravelry group. So, if you're also inspired to make a Lento right now, these knit-alongs are going on for at least another month. So that's plenty of time, I think, to knit a Lento. It knits up very, very fast. I started this on January 24th and today is February 3rd, so there you go. Alrighty, let's see. My other works in progress. Let's see, I've got my, you can't see it. We'll just bring it down. My neon rainbow pillowcase is still in progress. I really just need to finish this so I don't have to keep looking at it on my shelf. And so I can cross it off my to-do list. So maybe this weekend that will get done. And then I actually casted on something new today. I've been thinking about like adding another goal, because we all need more goals in our lives. But I've been thinking about adding another goal to knit one hat every month this year. And now January is over, so that didn't happen in January. But like I could theoretically make that up in another month by knitting 2 hats in 1 month instead of 1. I don't know. Whatever. But I've had this yarn for a while. I thought about knitting up this hat for my husband for Christmas, but it never happened, so we're doing it now. I cast on another Oslo hat. Man, it's been a while since I've been able to say that, but I cast on another Oslo hat. My battery is flashing at me, so this might die. We might need to come back in a minute. But I'm going to keep going until it does. So, the yarn that I'm using is Miami Fiber Co. in the colorway Thanator from her Avatar collection. This is on her Pembroke DK base, which you can see is a 75/25 superwash merino nylon. And I have 2 skeins. This is what it looks like. It kind of looks really similar actually to Court of Dreams, which is so funny because, like, again, I'm knitting a sweater and then knitting a hat in like almost the same color. I've been doing that, I feel like, since the fall, but I'm really excited about it. We're making the largest size Oslo hat, which is a size 4 for my husband. He actually tried on my Oslo hat yesterday, which is what sparked all of this, and he was like, "It's cold out, I'm gonna wear this, but it's a little small." And I was like, okay, well then I guess I'm gonna cast on your hat in this. So there we go. More Oslo Hat fun on the podcast. I don't have very much else to say about this. I mean, you know we're big Oslo Hat stands over here, and by we I mean me, so I hope you are as well. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna go charge my battery because I don't like it flashing at me. Okay, we're back. Batteries, man. Alright, I got a yarn acquisition. You probably know what this is. I ordered from Sewrella Yarns, playlist number 1. I have looked at all of this, but I just left it in the packaging because I thought it would be fun to open it on here. It's only 2 colorways, but I ordered a lot of skeins. This is 6 skeins, plus 2 more. So, look how sparkly it is! Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is Sewrella yarn in her Givenchy, Givenchy, that's it, Givenchy colorway on Stellina. So Stellina is a fingering weight base with this, it's merino nylon, and then it's got this gold Stellina thread running through it. You cannot feel this Stellina at all. Like, I used this yarn to make my cottagecore crop last summer, and it is very, very soft. This is not like itchy or scratchy at all. I know some people ask that. But this is like a black yarn with like a pretty blue undertone base, but like in person it looks black and gold and really sparkly, and I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna use this to make an Everett pullover. I'll put a picture. It'll probably be over here. The Everett pullover, and it's like a DK weight pattern, so I'm gonna hold this double, which is why I needed to get like 8 skeins, but I'm really, really excited about it. I have no idea when that'll be cast on, maybe like later this year, but it'll be good. And then I could not pass up this colorway, this sock set. This is a 1989 sock set. The main color is 1989 from the Taylor Swift collection, and the mini skein is Cognac, actually from the Winter Tonals palette. But I just thought, like, together these were so beautiful. So I had to pick this up, and eventually we'll be knitting socks, so that's what this is gonna be. So those are my yarn acquisitions. They actually came in on January 31st, so I had to include them in my January yarn in list. I kind of really wanted, so I have like a hair somewhere on my face. I really wanted to include that in February in, but it ended up in January in, so whatever, what can you do? You just gotta take what you get. Alright, so speaking of yarn, let me walk you through my yarn stash kind of update. Now, as I was going through this in my handy dandy bullet journal notebook, the numbers were not numbering. They weren't reconciling correctly. And I think I've realized that the reason is that some of the yarn that I destashed I did not originally include in the count for my yarn stash because when I was logging and categorizing and cataloging everything, there were some skeins that I like took out of my stash and put in a pile to destash, and I did not include those like in the spreadsheet for my yarn stash. But I have slowly been getting rid of some of those, and I am counting them as like an out number, which I probably shouldn't. I really just need to like separate what comes in and what goes out from like what is being tracked here. So I don't know, I'm still trying to like figure all of that out, but let's go through it. So I started January 1st with 335 skeins. That does include mini skeins. I'm counting mini skeins as like one full skein. That's just how I'm doing it. I think some people might count them as like half, or usually they're like 20 grams, so technically that's like a fifth, but I'm just counting it as one full skein. And I don't have a ton of mini skeins. I maybe have like 30, which is not very many. So anyways, I started with 335, and I'll try to kind of show you how this looks. So I'm tracking like what's coming in, what's going out, what I'm using in projects, and like how many. So what came in for the month? Well, these 10 skeins that I just got from Sewrella yarn. It's really 8 plus a sock set, but that sock set, again, I'm counting the full skein and the mini skein. So 10 skeins there. I got 7 skeins of DK from Witchfire Fiber, the Home for the Holidays collection, if you remember that from a couple weeks ago. I got 1 skein of Woolberry in the Coastal colorway. I bought that from a D-stash, and I already had 1 skein of it, so now I have 2. It's a fingering weight yarn, and so I'm going to use that at some point probably to make an Oslo hat. I got 1 skein in a trade with my friend Ashley at Ben Knitter. It was a trade, so that was like, I gave her 1, she gave me 1, but that 1 came in, and that's it. So that was everything that came in. It was like 20 skeins. So what went out, I used 7 skeins for my Cozy Classic Raglan in Court of Dreams, so 4 skeins of that DK and 3 skeins of mohair, so 7. So far I've used 3 skeins of We Are Knitters The Wool for the Neon Marshmallow pillowcase. I have 5 skeins of that total, and I'm just not sure if I'm going to use all 5 of them or not, so I've only counted 3 so far. I de-stashed 2 skeins. I de-stashed 7 skeins total. So 1 was a trade going out, 1 Taco Bell yarn, and 5 Miami Fiber Co. purple yarn. And then lastly I'm already counting the 6 skeins of yarn that I'm using in my Lento sweater, 3 skeins of Explorer Knits sock, and 3 skeins of Explorer Knits Surrey. So that comes out to 23 skeins out of my stash. Now, if you're going to try and do the math here, that was 20 in, 23 out. That is a net of -3. You would think that I should have 332 skeins in my stash, but I entered all of this into my spreadsheet, and my spreadsheet is telling me that I have 330. So I'm not sure. That's what I'm having trouble reconciling, but I'm just gonna go with what the spreadsheet says, because Like, it's way easier to keep track of everything in Google Sheets. So if I figure out where that discrepancy of 2 skeins is, then I'll fix it and it'll be updated by like the next time we do this update. And if not, hey, I've got 330 skeins, so a net negative of 5 for the month of January. And I'm happy with that. Do I wish it was more? Yes, but did I get 17 skeins of yarn that I bought in that last month? Yes, I did that. Now they have project plans, all of them, so that's a plus, and someday, hopefully this year, those projects will be started and finished, but really started. So I am happy with that. And that's my yarn stash update. The other piece that I wanted to talk you through is I'm titling, "Are you wearing your knits?" This question came to me last year in December when I was like starting to fill out my bullet journal, and I think I had started thinking about it before then, but I was looking at what I was making and I was realizing like I'm not wearing some of these things that I'm making, and I really want to start wearing my knits more because I spent all this time, spent all this money, spent all this effort knitting them. Like, I want to wear them, and so I started tracking. I actually started tracking this towards the beginning of December. I don't think I have all of December's numbers, but I have some of them, so I guess we can look at December also. I haven't like talked about December's numbers at all. But there were, let's see, 17 days in December where I wore a hand knit. So I wore my Oslo hat 2 times, my clove sweater 10 times, my Oslo sweater 2 times, and my comfort socks 3 times. Now, obviously the major standout there is the clove sweater, which is not a surprise to anyone, I don't think. Okay, and then let's look at January. So a little bit more of a range of the knits that I was wearing in January, in that I have like more pieces that I was wearing. In December, it was really only 4 items that I wore out of 15. I did wear the Dear Duomo once on the last day of the year when I finished it. So 18 times that I wore my knits. But what did I say, 15? Out of 15, I only wore 5. Now some of these are like short sleeves, so I probably wouldn't be wearing them in the, December, January timeframe anyways, but something to think about. So in January, I wore 6. I guess it's not that much better. It's 1 more, but it's not a lot. So, okay, I wore my sweater number 15 twice. That's what I'm wearing right now. So I get to track it and count it for today. That's exciting. But I wore this twice. I wore the Oslo hat once, the Oslo sweater 3 times, the clove sweater 8 times, Dear Duomo 2 times, and Cozy Classic Raglan 4 times. And I finished the Cozy Classic in January, so the fact that I wore that more times, well, it's actually not, I don't know. I was gonna say the fact that I wore it more than some of my other things is interesting, but the sweater number 15, like, needed repairs, so that's why it didn't get worn until after I repaired the sleeve. The Dear Duomo also still needs repairs, and I had just finished that like the very end of December, so that's kind of why it hasn't been worn very often. But yeah, again, the big standout there is the clove sweater. It's my favorite, and it's the one that I keep going back to and keep wearing, so I'm just like happy to be tracking that. Let me see, that's total 3, 6, 10, 20. That's 20 days out of 31 that I wore one of my knits. That's pretty good. That's like 65% of the month. That's pretty good, I think. So I'm tracking again for February. So far, you know, today's only February 3rd, but I've worn a knit every day so far. So, and it doesn't have to be the whole day that I wear it. I don't know about you. Do you like change your clothes like at least 2 or 3 times a day? Because I do for some reason. But like sometimes I'll just wear it to go out to dinner, sometimes I'll wear it around the house, sometimes I'll change into it like halfway through the day, or I'll wear it in the morning and then take it off. So if I wear it at all, I'm counting it because my rules. That's what I get to decide. So yeah, that's my knitting journal update. And the one last update, actually I have 2 more updates, but on last week's podcast, I talked about potentially changing the yarn choices for my next 2 sweaters, the No Frills sweater and the Semper sweater, and I have decided that I am going to change the yarn choice. So, I don't know if you've noticed, these have been sitting behind my head, but I am going to go with this combo of, ooh, there's a hair. Ken yarn raspberry sundae plus this lang lace for the Semper sweater, and that will be the next one that I cast on. I'm really excited about that. And then I'm gonna have to swatch and like really do some yarn and knitting math to make sure I can make this work. But the consensus was, I asked on Instagram like what other color I should use, and the consensus was really to go for the wine bottle green. And I do think this will make a really, really great classic sweater. I'm just not 100% sure I have enough yarn, but I'm gonna try and make it work. The clove sweater only took 5 skeins, so I feel like a simple raglan also should only take 5 skeins. If I need to make it cropped a little bit, I think that's fine. But I think I'm going to use the wine bottle green for the No Frills. So I'm excited about that. And the last update that I have is, you may have noticed I've been posting on YouTube Shorts. I think I've only got 2 or 3 videos so far. But on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok, I'm going to start posting more regularly. I had this idea to post a daily knitting journal, like a daily knitting like video journal. On YouTube, you can post up to 60-second videos. On TikTok, you can post up to 3-minute videos. So they're gonna be similar. There may be more content on TikTok just to make them a little bit longer, but I'm excited about that, and I just hope you'll watch them and support that new form of content. I'm probably not going to be posting the like daily video journals on Instagram. I'll kind of separate them onto TikTok and YouTube. But I post a lot of other stuff on Instagram, so I'm sure you'll see clips of things in my stories and as reels. It just won't be the full like video. So anyways, it's exciting. And yeah, I think that's it. Next week I'll be coming back at you with another podcast, and I don't think the Lento will be done by then, but if it is, then we'll have a Lento review. I always think I'm saying lentil, but it's Lento. Anyways, that's it. Alright, thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope you can get some knitting time in, and I will see you next week. Bye!